And if illegal immigrants or legal immigrants will not be the lowest paid workers, those in prison will be, and that always ends up looking like one of their sons. So it circles back around. So that's why people who are black, who are from 2 different plantations, got to get the fuck away from massa long enough to say, how are we going to burn down both their fucking houses? Now, this is my thought.
Welcome back to Early Talk with Rizzo Denise. I'm your host, Rizzo Denise. In our final discussion, we're going to talk about Revolt with Killer Mike, T.I., Candice Owens, and there were a few other people on the show. But those 3 stand out the most to me because they highlighted a lot on IG when it first came out. Candice Owens stood out the most because she was talking about the policies that the government did incentivize, about how they were going to encourage women to basically live on their own and kick the male out of the house. I don't think that's what they intended to do, but in doing so, there is about a 70% rate of single black female parenting in the United States. So when she talked about that, plus we have a short window for our voting as a black community and a lot of other things, people can say whatever they want about Candice Owens, but the fact of the matter is, to me, in my own opinion, she's very educated and she knows what she's talking about. So at the end of the day, you can't kill the messenger for speaking facts. And I liked how Killer Mike had stepped in when the person in the audience was kind of like booing or interrupting her, because we're all here to learn and you can't just shut someone out because they're speaking something you don't want to hear. So that stood out to me. I really did like that part. And I liked how Killer Mike just talked about how he felt what we need to do as a community to move forward. So I encourage everybody to go on YouTube to get information, watch it if you haven't watched it yet. It is very important. They're talking about a lot of topics in our community that we should work on, from why we haven't got reparations as African Americans and many things.
It was weird how, because we watched the clip, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I thought
you saw it with me today.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting how the guy was booing Candice Owens when she was speaking.
Yeah.
But what she was getting to the crux of the situation.
Mm-hmm.
And meanwhile, and it kind of stood out, like the host, I believe, he said something about, oh no, Killer Mike actually, I think. He said,
well, they both did. Remember, he's like, the host was trying to tell him to, like, be quiet so our sister can talk, and right. He still kept going.
It's like, it sounded like he had a problem. I don't know, what his exact problem was, but obviously it was. But, I got to give a shout out to everybody that was on that panel. I really think that we should have more discussions about exactly what we want to do in the black community. What I will say is that I don't think the answer at a point that we have today is about desegregation.
What do you mean?
I mean segregation, I'm sorry. like sometimes I think we feel like because there's a problem, we want to cut off things. And if things are already growing, and things are growing into another decade, another type of new type of era, I mean, we should go along with that growth, But what I will say is whoever the Democratic nominee is, or if you're a Republican and you happen to be black, choose the Republican that represents the Democrat that represents you. Because we can organize and we could go to that Democratic candidate and be like, here's what we want. Do you represent that?
Exactly. I agree with you a lot on that, C's. I also think that we need to know who our governor is. Whatever state you're in, find out who that is. Find out who the mayor is, because that's where it starts. It doesn't just start with the president. For the ones who don't know much about politics, they don't have all of the control And I like that. That's one of the things that Killer Mike was talking about in Revolt's interview at the summit. He said, just know who those people are in your community and get involved, and don't be so quick to judge from the outside. And I'm including myself in that too. I need to know who has the power in my community, and not be so quick to point fingers, because I'm not going to be running for president or governor or mayor, but I can do my part and go down to City Hall and ask those questions for my community. So,
so it's like at the end of the day, I mean, as a black community, we've been organizing for years.
Exactly.
I mean, we've come this far.
Even though certain outsiders have burned our cities down and killed us, we have done a lot, like Black Wall Street, Black Panthers. But I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, we are an organizing people, and we organized from nothing. And I think at a time like this, I feel like if we want to have our conversation and our plans be made or represented, I think that we have to go to these people and ask them if they represent what we want them to represent.
Mm-hmm.
If not,
exactly,
we'll do something else. But we are an organizing people. Exactly.
And the more we know, the more that we can push forward as a community. That concludes Early Talk with Rizzo Denise. I'm your host, Rizzo Denise. I want to thank you so much for coming to join me on my very first episode of Early Talk, and you enjoy the rest of your day.